And that really taught me a very good lesson of how we can really show interest in the young people in the congregation, because we can really make a difference and help them make the truth their own by including them in our activities, not to be totally self-consumed with our own social life, but try to include the young ones too, because I really look back 2 or 3 sisters, pioneer sisters, that always included me. I was like the young one, always tagging along, but they really helped me draw close to the congregation and to Jehovah. So I really thank them very much.
Yes, you never know what your example set for others. Ken, how about you? What helped you to grow to love Jehovah God and His organization?
I'd have to say, even though I was baptized at the age of 14, pretty much my late teenage years were marked as being a bit of a heathen. I wasn't very spiritual. And the truth was, it wasn't until I finally decided I really should pioneer, and actually it was at pioneer school, that I think for the first time in my life, I really studied deeply. And it was the result of that intense study that I think for the first time I really sensed that Jehovah loved me, and Jehovah was really trying to draw me closer to Him. It sounds odd to say, I think I came into the truth during pioneer school.
How do you parents feel knowing that your children might not start off the way you think, but you never know, they might be, all 3 of them be Bethelites, all of them like us 3. I didn't start off right either. How long have you been in special full-time service, or full-time service at all?
I pioneered for almost 6 years, and then there was a lapse. I couldn't pioneer for a while because of my schedule. I wasn't balanced, so I had to come off the list for a while. But as as some years went on, I started going back to continuous auxiliary, and then around that time I met Ken, and so we started dating. And after that, we got married. So together, I've been serving with him at Bethel for 15 plus years. So total of 21.
Wow.
So I pioneered for 10 years. I always thought I was more of a field man. But finally, I came to the conclusion that maybe I should try Bethel service. And I've been there the last 21. So 31 years altogether.
Now, why make this decision to pursue full-time service? I think, knowing Sharon, she said she wanted to become a lawyer, if she could. Probably something else may have been on your mind. What made you choose full-time service?
Well, I think part of it is being raised in a Japanese background. The Japanese people were, I think you all know that like 40% of the brothers and sisters in Japan are in full-time service. It used to be a little bit more, but now it's about 40%. We just as a people...
That low, huh?
We're just like an obedient people. And so that's the way I was kind of raised. So I knew growing up in the truth, I knew I had to pioneer. I knew that was just expected of me. It was more of an obligation and obedience issue. So that's exactly how I started pioneering, because I was being obedient. But it was only after a good year, it was really during pioneer school, when I realized, oh my goodness, I really enjoy doing this and serving Jehovah in this way. And it really, pioneer school was really key, and it really solidified my desire to continue on doing that. And I think everyone feels that way when they go to pioneer school, but that's really what helped me go into full-time service. Going to Bethel was another story. I never really had a desire to go to Bethel, but because I was really busy with regional building at that time, and so I was so happy doing that. But, well, I guess you'll ask some other questions about that later, but...
I guess I will. How about you, Ken? Why pursue full-time service, special full-time service?
You know, when I started pioneering, and even though I hadn't up to that point had the best study habits, it didn't take me long to see that with a little research, I could answer any question. I realized that the different people of all different religions, that they did not have the answers. And it was teaching others that made me realize we have got the truth. Nobody else has clear scriptural answers that are this satisfying. And I think the more I made the ministry a part of my life, the more it convinced me that this is what I wanted to do. Whatever, in some form, to be able to use my life in Jehovah's service.
Yeah, that's the greatest joy, isn't it? Doing what's right in Jehovah's eyes. Now, what challenges have you had to overcome in order to remain in full-time service, special full-time service?
Well, I know when my dad passed away 8 years ago, it was really hard. Even though my mom lived fairly close to Bethel, about 45 minutes away, we were spending a lot of time with her because it was really hard on her because my dad's death was sudden. And we were going there every weekend. I was going there during the midweek. In the evenings, I would sleep over there and then drive 5 o'clock in the morning back to Bethel to work. And there were times when I really felt like, oh my goodness, I really want to be with my mom to just help her get through this. And there were thoughts were in my mind where I really felt like maybe I do need to, we need to leave Bethel and be close to my mom. But we were able to get over that. But that was probably the biggest challenge around that time. Other than that, we've been blessed with fairly good circumstances to continue on with our service.
Yes, yes. That's a challenge that many in full-time service have to deal with, aging parents.
So, as I mentioned before, I was a little bit of a heathen, a little bit of a pagan as a teenager. Part of the reason is that our family life had become rather unstable. My folks were baptized in '71, and on February 16th of 1975, my mom and dad, my brother and I, my brother was 1 year younger, we were on our way up to the Monroe Assembly Hall in New York State, and we came to a crest of a hill, and a young man who was stoned out of his mind decided to pass a car coming in the other direction. So we got to the crest of the hill, and we had a head-on collision. And we lost my father and my brother that day. So after that, it was Mom and I. And Mom was undiagnosed manic depressive, so a bipolar affective syndrome. So you can imagine, Dad had been the big anchor of the family. And then once Dad was gone and my mom was 33 and was now a widow and had buried a son, you can imagine that if you're also dealing with manic depression, the challenges. So she was a very spiritual woman, and that spirituality I'm forever grateful for. But for many years she was undiagnosed, so family life was pretty unstable. And even after I started pioneering, and in fact my mom wound up getting remarried, wasn't the best of marriages, I always thought I would like to do some other form of full-time service other than Bethel service. And I finally came to the conclusion that I couldn't get that far away from the East Coast. So that's why at 32 I finally decided, let me apply to Bethel, because at least I'm still somewhat close to Mom, and I can do what I can for her, and I can continue to pursue my full-time service. And so over the years, Mom had quite a challenge. At times she would stick to the regimen with the medication, getting out of the house, doing certain things that were really good for her. And at other times, if she would not take her medication regularly, the manic depression would really get extreme, and she'd wind up in a hospital. So it was, for the first 10 years of my Bethel service, that was always kind of on the back of my mind. How's Mom doing? After my mom passed away about 12, 13 years ago, it was strange. A few months had passed by, and I felt like, all of a sudden I was like, I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulder. What in the world is it? And I realized that all those years, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, I wonder how Mom is. Is she taking her medication? Is she getting out of her house? If I could liken it to, say, when you have a low-grade infection in your body and it just robs you of your strength, you always feel drained. I realized that emotionally and mentally, all those years of worrying about Mom was almost like a psychological low-grade fever that was always playing in the back of my mind. And so that's why, since then, when I talk to folks who maybe are dealing with family problems and health issues or problems back home. Maybe they don't have the energy they feel they should, or they don't feel as motivated. And I remind them, this problem that's ongoing, it's like a low-grade infection that's robbing you of your strength. So sometimes, we have to cut ourselves a little slack and realize, hey, this is taking something out of me. I found that that lesson that I learned, I've been able to share with others who are dealing with other long-term problems. Some problems do go on for years and years, and they do weigh on us, and we have to recognize that. And so that was one of the challenges to staying in full-time service. And then just shortly after my mom passed away, and I knew she was at rest and in Jehovah's memory, it was very soon after that that Sharon's dad passed away. So we've always found that we've had to make we've always been balancing our Bethel assignments, our full-time service, with caring for family responsibilities. And everything is a balancing act.
Yeah, it's interesting that not all of us have the ideal circumstance, but yet we keep going in our service to Jehovah God. Now, how did you become yoked together to serve God? Somehow I think I want to hear Sharon's story.
She showed up at my Kingdom Hall.
No, it is true, but I really hated the advice that some of the friends would say, oh, if you want to meet somebody, go visit other congregations. I didn't like that, and I never did it. The one time I actually did go visit my girlfriend's congregation for an evening program, it was the photodrama of creation. That's what called me, because I've never seen any part of the photodrama of creation. And Ken happened to be helping the brother run the program, and that's how we met. And the funny story is, it was a really hot and humid August afternoon, evening. I had been out in service all afternoon because I was trying to make my time. And I was like, well, it's a slideshow. I don't care how I look. I know I'm all greasy faced and my hair's out here, but we'll be in the dark, so it won't matter. And so I went and I enjoyed the program, and who did I meet? I met Ken, and Ken still wanted to talk to me, so it all worked out okay.
I did about half of the reading, so about an hour of the reading of the manuscript, and she told me she was very impressed with my fluent reading. So, young men, you want to marry a pretty sister? Practice your reading.
That gives your Bible reading a whole nother perspective. Tell us about your departments that you worked in at Bethel. What has been your Bethel experience like?
My first almost 10 years, I was in housekeeping. And that was a very big challenge for me, because before coming to Bethel, I was always in an office environment. And so I never was very good at cleaning. And when I first came to Bethel and they told me I was going to be in housekeeping, I thought it was like, oh no. They gave me this thick manual, and it was a three-week intensive training. And I learned every aspect of what to do, how to clean things. And at that time, it was really challenging because I just had never done anything like that for a continuous stretch every day, 8 hours a day. So, and along with being married, having to submit to a husband, it was a lot of challenges. And I do remember in the beginning crying in the middle of the night out of frustration, and kind of saying to myself, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. But so that was rough. But after 4 or 5 years, I started really enjoying my assignment. And I loved working with the different sisters, because there were sisters from all over, different backgrounds. Really, many of them were very educated and were professionals and did something totally different before they came to Bethel. But they were so humble, and they joyfully did their assignment, and their example really, really helped me adjust my feelings too. And so by the year 7, 8, I was thoroughly enjoying my assignment. I loved my partner. We were having a great time. then they pulled me. It's usually like when you start getting comfortable with something, you know, Jehovah